Let's do this.
Probably just
I'm gonna
gonna
clip it.
yeah.
Hi, I'm Kallpana and I'm the Medical Education and Quality Improvement Fellow at Central and North West London NHS Foundation Trust.
And I'm Nikki Chowdhury. I'm a Foundation Year 2 doctor currently working in St Mary's Hospital.
All right. So how did you find out about this conference?
How did I find out? I think it was through you guys. I feel like
That's the thing. I think I found it through you, Hassan.
Okay, I got it from Suk from the DME.
So yeah.
The chain goes up. Let's see. Did you present today?
Yeah, we both did. We both presented posters. Mine was on the Foundation Development Program, Psychiatry Development Program, and Nikki's was an offshoot of the
Yeah, so
program.
I was with you guys in Central North same trust, and you very kindly allowed me to incorporate simulation into the local teaching program for psychiatry. The QI is more about communication challenges in psychiatric consultations, so that was what my QI was.
Okay. What was it like, Nikki? I think this was your first conference.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I was a bit underprepared, but I think it's a good confidence boost, actually. I think it makes you a lot more confident speaking with people, and I think it really sort of teaches you how to sell what you believe in or what you're working on. So, yeah, I really, really enjoyed the experience. Yeah, it was nice.
This morning was quite an adventure. Tell me how was it putting up your first
I was hoping not to talk about that. Oh my god. Well, it's my first conference, so I'm in ED mode right now. So I've got ED brain. So I skim read a lot. It's kind of part and parcel of the thing. So, looked at the email from the conference and it said, "Oh, okay, poster should be this size." And I thought, okay, cool, they'll print it. And then lo and behold, I'm on the train this morning after finishing at 11 p.m. on 4 hours of sleep. And I look at the email again, it says, your poster should be this XYZ. And I thought, that sounds like we should be bringing the poster. And then I panic call one of the numbers that they provided for someone to contact in the conference. And she said, no, you need to. And then I was like, oh, this is a disaster. And then I managed to find a stationery shop just near the hotel because we're in city centre in Birmingham. And then I was like, okay. And then managed to get a semi-gloss £25 poster printed off, and yeah, it was all saved at the end of the day.
Wow. Okay. So what tips you have for someone who's presenting?
Just to read your emails properly. Don't skim read. Understand what's being told. Like understand the instructions. But I think, yeah, it's a general learning, isn't it? That it's a professional setting. You need to be prepared for these kinds of things. And but other than that, in terms of tips, I would say be familiar with your work, with your statistics, with what work you've done. I think you need to have a general sort of headline statement as to why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that's what caught most attention actually today when I was speaking to people. For 90%, the attention's wavering when you're talking in a lot of detail about the stats. But actually, what draws them back in is when you say, "I'm actually doing this because X, Y, Z." So in my case, for my cure, it was about making consultations more humanized and more empathetic, and so that kind of brought more questions, and they actually started engaging a bit more. So I think that's the key thing for me, is how do I sell a story?
That's really good.
So Kallpana, can you tell me about the judging process? How were the posters selected?
So we had 3 judges. I think you had a different set of judges.
Oh, is it? Because there was okay. We were on
Yeah.
different sides of the room.
So there were about like 12 to 15 posters, I think, that were divvied up. And during the tea break, we were all just standing in front of our posters that we all had to print ourselves.
Oh my god!
And just had a couple of minutes to talk to the judges about what our posters involved, and then a couple of minutes after to answer questions, which was quite nice. I think it was a really nice opportunity to actually see the type of work that we've done. I've been in other conferences where now posters are just presented on LED screens. So to just go back to that printed poster method where you can actually like walk through the different posters and see what everyone's done and ask questions, I really missed that. So I really enjoyed seeing that here today.
Well, what else was surprising about this conference for you?
I think what was actually really surprising was the mix of people who are attending. So this is primarily a foundation program conference, and with that in mind, I'd never attended this before, and I thought main attendees would be someone of our level, foundation program, maybe slightly above. But actually, the variety of people, there were consultants of various degrees, different specialties, TPDs, foundation program, training program directors, and having them attend and share their opinions and ideas of what the foundation program is, how it used to look like, what it is now, was actually incredibly eye-opening. So I didn't know a lot of things.
And you truly value what exists now.
Yeah, in terms of what we get and
what we get.
what they used to offer for the consultants in the past versus what we are offered now. It's come a long way.
Even just to come off that, like as you said, I was surprised by the range of higher trainees, and then I thought that's really encouraging for someone who's starting out as a foundation trainee, that I can continue this because I love medical education. So it's inspiring to see someone who, people who are higher trainees. So yeah.
So what was your favorite presentation today?
Oh, so I think there were a couple of presentations that I really, really liked. So the first ever presentation was on improving confidence in responding to off-duty emergencies. So that was a oral presentation, and I really enjoyed that because as a doctor, I think we are mainly trained to deal with emergencies in hospital settings. And I've always thought about, I've never actually dealt with an emergency outside a hospital setting before, thankfully. But I have thought about it because, you hear situations about, medical emergencies happening on flights. And having reflected on, if someone shouted, "Is there a doctor on the plane?" I don't know what I would do. I suppose, you think about starting an A to E, but then having the resources that you would have in a hospital versus what you would have elsewhere is totally different.
Limited, isn't it? Yeah.
So I think, the course that they're providing is actually fantastic, and I think it should be mandatory for all of us.
Yeah,
really.
it's I think it's really practical because that is real life, isn't it? So I think, and especially being on ED right now, I'm even more that I should know what to do, especially outside of a hospital. So yeah, that was actually my favorite one as well. I think, I agree.
Okay, tell me what's next for you?
I always wanted to expose what we were doing to a bigger audience. So the specialty doctor has kindly, the simulated patient in the workshop, agreed to do a podcast episode with me, and it just started off as one episode that I wanted to do with her about the workshop. It's split in two parts, one about bipolar affective disorder and the second part about what we found trainees struggle with in the simulation session. And then I think eventually it developed into, actually, I think I want to just develop a podcast series of my own as I rotate through different specialties. So sometimes it might be about psychiatry, it might be about emergency medicine, it might be about medical education. I love medical education. So that's kind of what it's called. Doc Nikki. Doc Nikki. And,
I can't wait to listen to your podcast.
Thank you. But yeah, I'm excited. So it's just stuff I genuinely enjoy learning about. So
that sounds really good.
Yeah.
And this last question for you, Kallpana, what was it like being a QI Med fellow?
It was actually really, really nice. So I wasn't sure what to expect with this job because it was very unlike. So I was a teaching fellow before this, undergraduate clinical teaching fellow, so teaching medical students. And this role is more of a postgraduate medical education fellow and more QI. And as a result, I've been able to be a part of a lot of leadership and management opportunities that I think you don't really get in any other job, really. I've been able to join like trust executive board meetings and talk about QI in a national stage. I've also been enrolled in like a quality improvement coach development program, which the trust has kindly funded, which has been amazing. And I think knowing about these roles and having people like yourself or anyone, at an F2 stage apply would be great because this job is about to be re-advertised very soon.
Okay. And would the two of you recommend this conference?
100%. I really enjoyed it. I didn't have I didn't know what to expect from it, but my expectations, it's super.
Yeah, I think I think you sort of engage with things that you're passionate about. Yeah. So clearly we both have a very strong interest in medical education, and I think another tip that I was given by a family member before coming here is networking. Yeah. And you'll be surprised how you can form these connections. Or somebody might come up with an idea. I had a CAMS consultant come up to me and say that actually I didn't sort of plug in my podcast. She said, I just told her about it. She said, give it to me because I've got a set of trainees who would love to listen to that kind of stuff. So I think you'll be surprised how people want to engage with you or get involved. So I think networking is the key thing, and just learning from your seniors and peers about what they're doing, whatever it may be, whether it's stats or presenting or publications, or if you want to get involved in like the sort of higher up positions to do with medical education, like those are the kinds of things I'm thinking about. And I want to do GP. I want to have med ed in the background. So I'm just thinking about future. So yeah, if you're passionate about it, then you should.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. I think that's about it.
Thank you so much.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.